Climate Progress revealed a few days ago that more than half of the Republican members of the new Congress either deny or question what we know to be the overwhelming scientific consensus that humans are impacting the climate on this planet. And if you look at just the Senate, the numbers are even more appalling and dangerous. 72% of Republican senators are climate deniers to some extent. 72%, that's more than 7 out of 10. And what's more, this analysis from Climate Progress shows that many of the congressional committees that deal with climate and energy issues are loaded with with global warming and climate change deniers. We told you in the last segment that Ted Cruz is going to be chairing NASA, the committee that decides on NASA's budget, the Space Science and Competitiveness Committee. We also know that 68% of the Republican leadership in the House and Senate deny human-caused climate change. 13 out of 21 Republican members of that committee on science, space, and technology, or 62%, reject the consensus science on climate change. I am just out of words, Lewis. We have committees. Forget about the fact that it would be great not to have any members of Congress that are so against what the scientists who work on these issues tell us. I'm beyond that. We're going to have that. At least give us committee members when it comes to issues of science and reason, etc., who are not overwhelmingly opposed to what scientists are telling us. But we can't even get that in committee.
Not even close. I think it's safe to assume that no matter what the scientific community is telling these the elected officials on these committees, these deniers are never going to stop denying that this is a real thing, that climate change is happening, for, at least to protect their sponsors. That could be happening too, whether they believe it or not. They're either going to deny it because they believe that, or they're going to protect big business.
And I would love to say that these committees actually don't do anything and that there's no risk whatsoever to having people like James Inhofe involved, who said that God just wouldn't allow climate change to happen, in charge anywhere. These Republicans are going to try to further hamper the EPA's ability to restrict pollution. These are the same Republicans who, like possibly Ted Cruz, have voted in the past slash funding for NASA, and I would not be surprised if they try to do it again in the future. It's shocking that they are even allowed to sit at the adult table.
It is. It's very unfortunate. Unfortunately, this is the state of things. At least we have a consensus among scientists, and I think a lot of Americans can actually see what's happening.
If only the point of view of the constituents were reflected by the actual elected officials. But I know that's too much to ask, Lewis, in this kind of representative system that we have.